Ninrir, the goddess who blessed Fel, is watching the two while they are eating happily. She's wondering when Fel became a familiar of a human like Mukuda. Then the scene changed to Fel dashing through the forest in an instant, and Mukuda is at his back, barely holding on while screaming. Fel suddenly stopped, and Mukuda was thrown away from his back. Fel asked Mukuda why he was covered in injuries. Mukuda scolded Fel while saying it was because he bolted through the forest without caring about anything. Then Mukuda noticed that they arrived at the sea, but Fel answered that he just stopped by a lake because he was craving for a fish. Mukuda wondered how they would fish without a rod. Fel answered that he knew the easiest way. While walking closer to the lake, he used his lightning magic above the water. Afterwards, countless fish started floating on the surface of the lake. Fel is satisfied with the result, as he asked Mukuda to take whatever fish he likes. Mukuda asked if all the fish were dead. Fel answered that he had just paralyzed them and they would regain consciousness eventually. Mukuda feels bad, but he started collecting them while using his appraisal skill to identify the type of fish as he thought of the best way to cook them. Mukuda noticed a huge fish. It was a king trout, and he decided right away that it was for Fel. Then Fel asked him to collect another fish while pointing in the direction of a poisonous-looking fish. He described its taste as a little spicy. Mukuda grabbed it and appraised it. However, after the name was shown, he threw it back to the lake right away, which shocked Fel. Mukuda explained to Fel that the tingling flavor he likes is from its poison, because it is a poison lake fish. Fel refuted that it was delicious in its own way while looking down at the fish. Fel still wants to eat it, but Mukuda refuted that he can't eat it because he's not blessed like Fel, and he can't let this poisonous fish touch the other ingredients. Fel only gave up after Mukuda told him that he would make something delicious using the other fish. After collecting enough fish, he asked Fel to help him collect firewood, and then he used his magic to start a fire. Mukuda opened his online grocery store. He's looking for the ingredients he will use for the fish. At the same time, Fel is behind Mukuda, trying to get him to buy the meat dishes displayed in the store, which Mukuda rejected. Afterwards, Mukuda started preparing the fish. He started by taking out the innards, then he cleaned them out with water. Then, after skewering it, he covered it with salt before grilling it. Fel was attracted by the smell, but Mukuda stopped him from eating it. Afterwards, he took out the king trout. Mukuda scrapes off its scales and chops off its head before taking out its innards. Then he started filleting it, and he's happy with how it turned out. He also cut it into smaller pieces, mixed it with onions, butter, salt, pepper, and mushrooms, and drizzled it with some sauce before covering it in foil. He made sure it was sealed properly, then put it beside the fire after he stopped Fel from touching the fish again. He prepared fish meuniere next. He seasoned some slices of fish with salt and pepper, dry it, then coat it with flour before grilling it. At the same time, Fel told him that the fish were cooked thoroughly, so Mukuda took them out of the fire and served them all together. Fel didn't know how to eat the fish baked in foil. He's trying to eat it without removing the foil, so Mukuda had to show him that it had to be opened first, and Fel was so amazed after the smell came out of the foil. Mukuda also started eating, and they screamed at the same time, satisfied by the taste. Fel started devouring the remaining fish, while Mukuda took a beer, thinking that it would go well with the grilled fish. He happily ate the other dishes as well as continued drinking his beer. However, Fel interrupted him as he asked for more fish baked in foil with tartar sauce. Mukuda threw some fish, which Fel caught with his mouth, before he started cooking again. It took them multiple servings before they were satisfied. Mukuda felt that he was just camping as he drank and ate fish while outdoors, while Fel could only think of eating more fish. At the same time, Mukuda got up to clean up their mess, but his feet bumped into something, and he saw a slime after looking down. Mukuda complained that a monster managed to sneak into Fel's barrier, but Fel refuted that there was no need to worry about something so weak. Mukuda asked if the slime could attack, and he waited until Fel confirmed that it was harmless, as it was just prey at its current level, before he started touching it. He's surprised with how jiggly it is, and he finds it cute after it tries to reach for his hand. Then he checked its status and found out that it was just 3 days old and really weak even for his standards. He even thought it would die instantly after getting stepped on by another monster. He wanted to feed it because he thought it would be hungry, but they didn't have any leftover food. The slime started jumping towards their trash and equipment. Mukuda was shocked after it dissolved a plastic bottle instantly, but Fel explained that it could even melt pebbles. The slime continued dissolving the remaining trash. However, it suddenly grabbed Mukuda's frying pan, which caused him to panic a little. Then Mukuda told the slime that it couldn't eat his silverware, so it went in the opposite direction, but it started eating their plates instead. Mukuda had to teach him what to eat, and he consumed all the trash, which made Mukuda happy. The slime seems to understand what Mukuda is saying as it jumps up and down before jumping into Mukuda's arms after getting praised. Mukuda is happy with how friendly it is. A heart shape appeared as he continued petting it. Then Fel informed him that it had already become his familiar, which dumbfounded Mukuda because he hadn't made a contract with it. Fel explained that the slime wanted to be his familiar, and Mukuda accepted it, which is enough to form a contract. It was confirmed after he checked his status, and Fel urged him to give it a name right away. After thinking for a bit, he named it Sui. Mukuda continued his magic training the next day. This time he was practicing his earth magic. Similar to his fire magic, he's really not good at it. His stone bullet couldn't reach the tree that he's aiming at. Fel told Mukuda that he's really slow at learning, and Mukuda answered that he didn't want to hear it from a genius in magic like Fel while feeling annoyed. Then Fel suggested that Mukuda get some battle experience again. However, after remembering what happened last time, he refused sternly. Fel then pointed out that he will never get better at earth magic at his current rate. Mukuda decided to rest a bit and picked up his bottled water to drink, but Sui is trying to grab and eat it. After looking at Sui, Mukuda noticed that he had gotten bigger, so he checked his status and found out that Sui is now level 8. Then he thought it could be because Sui has been eating otherworldly items, including trash, which is a big help for him since it's already piling up inside his item box. At the same time, Fel complained about how hungry he was while demanding meat, so Mukuda decided to prepare their meal, including Sui this time. He cooked a miso-marinated orc meat bowl, which he had already marinated the previous day. While Mukuda was explaining, Fel started devouring his meal while ignoring him, which annoyed him. While Fel is busy eating his meal, Sui is just staring at the bowl of meat, so Mukuda had to instruct him that this time he could eat the contents of his bowl. Just after Mukuda started eating, Fel already finished his, as he asked for more servings. But surprisingly, Sui also finished his and asked for more shortly after. While getting more food, he realized that he was already used to the food in this world. He could even eat orc meat normally now. While resting, Mukuda checked if the food caused Sui to level up as well, but this time he just gained buffs similar to Fel. Then he noticed that Sui started cleaning dishes. It saved him time, and he didn't have to waste water and soap anymore, which made him really happy, so he even hugged Sui. As Mukuda realized that it was Sui's first meal, he wanted to celebrate while eating dorayaki and green tea. He gave Sui the first before eating one himself, while Fel is happy after realizing that dorayaki is similar to the sweet breads that he had eaten before. Mukuda explained why it's similar to the bread they had previously, but Fel was urging Mukuda to also serve the bread they had before, using the excuse that he has to try it again to compare it to dorayaki. Then Mukuda asked Sui if he liked the sweets, and based on his response, he really liked them. The next morning, while Mukuda is still sleeping soundly, Fel had already got up, giving a serious look while staring at the sky. Sui woke Mukuda up, and Fel told him right away that he had important matters to discuss with him. Mukuda is surprised at how serious Fel is, so he asked if he had a stomachache. Fel denied it, as he explained that he had received a divine message from the goddess of the wind, Ninrir. Fel told him that Ninrir will bestow him with her blessing, but in exchange, Mukuda has to provide her otherworldly sweets as offerings. Once a week. Mukuda was dumbfounded with how she asked for the sweets specifically, but Fel explained further that unfortunately she couldn't grant him a full blessing similar to Fel's, so she will provide him with a minor blessing instead, which will make him immune to status ailments and allow him to use magic more easily. He hesitated for a bit, but after thinking about the benefits, he suddenly bowed down and accepted the conditions. Afterwards, he asked if there was a specific way to pray and what he should do about the altar. But Fel answered that the altar isn't important, and he could even use some rocks for it. The words in his prayer aren't important either, but what matters is that he conveys his feelings. When Mukuda was about to get up and start praying, Fel mentioned that the goddess was asking for anpan, cream bread, and melon bread for Mukuda's first offering. Through this, Mukuda confirmed that the goddess just really wants sweets, like he thought. He placed the bread on top of the box before asking for blessings in his prayer. The bread turned into light as it disappeared into the sky, while Mukuda's body started glowing, indicating that he had received the blessing of the goddess. The scene then changed to the goddess holding the ampan while shaking, excited that she could finally eat it. She ate the bread in an instant while explaining how great it is, and she felt a little sad afterwards, thinking that happiness does not last long. Then she was surprised with how well the drink complemented the bread, which tempted her to eat her remaining sweets. Mukuda started training his earth magic again, but this time it was much better. He managed to hit the tree with pretty decent strength, way better than before he got the goddess blessing. He thanks Sui, who is beside him, cheering him on. He also wondered if Sui could evolve as he continued to level. Mukuda continued his training, but he was already feeling tired after a short time, so he took out some chocolate and coffee from his bag to regain some energy. While resting, Fel suddenly arrived, and he could tell that Mukuda had eaten something while he was missing. So Mukuda explained that since he was tired from practicing magic, he ate some sweets called chocolate. Hearing this, Fel complained that he was tired from running and demanded chocolate. And when Mukuda refused, he refuted that he was tired from carrying him on his back every day. So Mukuda had no choice but to give Fel some chocolates as well. While Fel is eating happily, the goddess Ninrir has contacted Mukuda through a divine message, and she's demanding that Mukuda send her chocolate and dorayaki through his prayer. Mukuda argued that it's only been a few days since his last offering, but he has no choice as the goddess continues demanding it. Fel thought that Mukuda was being devoted as he saw him finish praying, but Mukuda refuted that he was just being harassed. Then Fel suddenly asked him to get on his back, eager to depart right away. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and look forward to the next part.